Hi, and welcome back to I Have Questions. I'm Sam,
I'm Alex.
and let's talk about movies that we today we actually like all of these movies.
Yeah, well, some more than others, but not in the not Casper bad.
Alex can never admit that he actually enjoyed all three movies.
No, I did enjoy all. Well, to varying degrees. We'll get into that when we go into further detail. So, Christmas comedies.
Yay! The only time we'll do comedies because Alex and I get really, really bad secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah, well, in fairness, these are '90s comedies, and
That's true.
and that trend hadn't hit in yet. So we have, in this order, we have the Santa Claus, 1994. We have Home Alone, 1990, so just barely, so maybe more 80s, I guess. And Jingle All The Way, 1996.
Christmas classic.
We both agreed. No elf.
Yeah, no elf. That is the epitome of secondhand embarrassment for Christmas. So we're watching very loved classics, I guess.
Loved is a strong word.
I like this. Well, I love Jingle All The Way.
Oh, Jingle All The Way is like...
And I forgot how much I loved Home Alone.
Jingle All The Way definitely has a lot of moments where I don't question them as much as a child, but in retrospect, it's some shit's like, that's fucked, bro. You need help. You know
Isn't that all of our 90s movies, though?
I don't...
All of the 90s movies we didn't question them as a child, but now that we're adults, we're like, what the fuck was going on with these writers?
Well, the misunderstanding, the trope of simple misunderstanding from lack of communication is very strong in the 90s.
Yeah. I mean, that's the easy, like, what's the greatest villain of all time? Miscommunication.
Talk about the Cuban Missile Crisis, huh?
Anyway, so let's get to talking about these movies. So first up is the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. Tim Allen is a father, a divorced father.
Mm-hmm. That trope.
Yeah, that was pretty big in the 90s.
Divorced
father that's working too hard, and it somehow makes him a bad father.
Yeah. Which, in fairness, it seems to have been one of the main tensions, and I do appreciate that their arguments are really framed around their disagreements as a couple, without ever bringing the child into it.
That's true. Charlie seems to be very isolated away from the kind of passive-aggressive fighting that's going on between him and his ex-wife, and the ex-wife's new husband, who is he's a psychiatrist?
Yeah.
Or a psychologist.
Neil, played by Judge Reinhold.
Yeah. Neil is like, oh my god, he's such a wet blanket. It's so funny because it's even like Tim Allen, like Scott Calvin. He like looks at Neil and he's just like, so you went from me to him?
How does that make you feel? Like it's like taking the piss out of his
yeah, it's basically
profession.
How the 90s described therapists of always being like, how does that make you feel? Let's think about your inner child and all this stuff. And it's just like, the 90s was very patronizing of therapists. Yeah. And I will always advocate therapy, 100%. Everybody should have somebody they can talk to. And if it's a professional, even better. But I don't know, like the character that Neil plays, he's so like, I mean, obviously you're supposed to be rooting for Scott Calvin's character. So of course they're going to make Neil into like the wet blanket and like the boring psychiatrist who doesn't seem to be connecting to other human beings very well. But he's not a bad guy, he's just boring.
Yeah. Which is not a sin. It's really not.
It is for me.
And well,
sorry.
His ex-wife probably wanted the stability that comes with somebody who has at least, I guess, some semblance of regular working hours.
That's true.
Because Tim Allen's character, Scott Calvin, SC.
Does he run the company?
I don't know.
I don't know if he runs the company, but he's very high up in the company, so he works a lot.
He was like the distribution manager or something, one of two.
So he's in charge of a lot of stuff. So because of that, he works a lot. But from what I can see from the movie, he's not really sacrificing a lot of time with Charlie. He does spend a lot of time with his kid.
Yeah.
Despite him seeming like he overworks. So
it's more dialogue. We're giving lip service to it more in dialogue than we are in actual demonstration. Jingle All The Way does a better job of showing like
overworking dad.
Overwork. Here it's just like they say he overworks, But clearly they get to hang out with visitation. It's just that they don't relate to one another very well.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, how much can you really relate to a 10-year-old?
Is he 10? I feel like he should
Is
probably...
he 12?
I don't know, I feel like he's
I don't
younger.
remember if he's 10 or 12 in this movie. But...
It's Hollywood, he probably meant to make him like 4.
Yeah,
but
honestly. So, anyway, so Charlie's in school, and, basically it's the same trope of, like, he believes in Santa, but the kids are starting to stop believing in Santa. But he's, like, super adamant, like, Santa's real kind of thing. So, the wife and the new husband are like, you should just grow up, and why do you believe in Santa anymore? The way they get in this movie of just like, oh, like, you should just stop believing in Santa. It's very odd, because most parents would just be like, I mean...
I feel like they didn't know how to frame it well as
Yeah.
a point of conflict, because, like, the way they go about framing this conflict, like, is Santa real, Santa not real? I mean, it's clearly real because it's the premise of the movie.
Yeah.
But the way they go around setting up this backdrop, it's almost like they're having a religious debate.
Yeah.
Which is just like, you didn't know how to frame this well, did you?
Yeah, they didn't really know how to show adults who were like, okay, I mean, you're getting kind of old to believe in Santa. It's time for us to start telling you, like, hey, we buy those presents, kind of thing. So you tend to be nicer to your parents. But it's just really odd because they're so adamant about it, and then in return, Charlie gets so adamant about Santa being real that it seems like there's a huge disconnect between him and his parents, because Charlie's like, nope, this is real, seen it, been there, saw the elves, went to the North Pole. Like, you can't convince me it's wrong. But the parents are like, oh, it's Scott's fault that he believes this. Like, why are you pushing this on our child? And it's just like, this is not I'm pushing this on you. Charlie doesn't have, like, Charlie's faith in Santa is not like, oh, my dad's telling me this is real, so I believe it. Charlie's faith in Santa is just like, I believe this in the deep, like, part of my heart, and there's nothing you can do. Like, there's nothing you can say to convince me otherwise.
Well, Charlie comes to this. So our motivating or inciting incident, I guess, is
Charlie spending Christmas with his dad.
Yep, and then they hear a sound. They go outside, startle Santa, who happens to be on the roof. He slides down and
dies.
Bites it.
He just dies, and then, like, Scott is the guy who takes up the mantle, because I guess, is it like because he was the first person to pick up Santa's stuff?
Puts on his suit. It's like, puts on his suit, becomes Santa Claus. The reindeer that were inexplicably on the roof, of course, because Santa.
Yeah, I mean, reindeers fly.
Yeah, and they started going to the other houses and dropping off the presents, and then it's like, let's go home, and of course...
Yeah, well, the funny thing about it, when he's dropping off the presents, so she comes in later in the movie, there's this adorable little girl who's waiting out for Santa with, like, milk and cookies, and she's like, oh my god, you're Santa. And of course, Scott Calvin, when he's in the beginning, it's normal Tim Allen when he's, like, skinny and just wearing the big suit. And she's like, what's going on? What's happening? Like, you don't look like the normal Santa. You don't have a beard or anything. So he tells her he's lactose intolerant. And she actually remembers the next year and buys soy milk. And he's just like, what the fuck is this?
It's like,
she's just like, why is this milk so sour? She's like, but you said you were lactose intolerant. You can see the look on his face is like the look Alex and I both had. We were like, she remembered. She's so cute. It's like, she's been like, Mom, Dad, no, I know I gotta put out making cookies, but we have to buy soy milk for Santa.
I can imagine
and
the
carrots
conversation.
too. I think she gets some like carrots or something. It's super adorable. But yeah, he's still delivering, and Charlie's like, yeah, this is awesome. Santa's real. Meanwhile, we have ghost over the fact that Santa's dead. Like you said, they're like, let's go home. So the reindeer all go to the North Pole, where they meet the elves, which are just children playing elves.
We couldn't hire that many dwarves.
Yeah. And Bernard, who is David Krumholtz? He's in a lot of movies in the 90s. And early 2000s. So they all go to the North Pole, and they seem to be taking it pretty well.
It's like, oh, he's dead, big whoop.
Which makes me feel like, okay, they've been going through quite a few Santas here. So it's still business as usual. And then they're just like, yeah, you're Santa now. And that's it. Charlie's having the time of his freaking life. Like, they also meet the young girl, Judy.
Yeah.
Who's super adorable. Who's supposed to be like hundreds of years old. But she's played by a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And You know, they seem pretty like, okay, you know, we're technologically advanced and stuff. So like, you know, we're working on all the newest inventions for Santa to get around everything. And it's, you know, very adorable, very sweet, because he's like, Scott's still like, I didn't agree to this. Like, what's going on? He's very much against it in the beginning of the movie. Just like, I don't know what's going on. I just kind of was going with the flow, but I like, why is this happening? Just like, I don't believe in this. And then, you know, he wakes up the next day, and to him, it's just like, what a crazy dream.
Yeah.
But Charlie's like, nah, we went to the North Pole. Can you believe it? And he gets this little snow globe from Bernard and everything too. He's just like, yeah, Dad, we went to the North Pole. Like, don't you remember? And then Scott's just like, let's not talk about our delusions that we had together.
Yeah. Never mind. It's like you're also wearing pajamas that you don't remember where you got them from.
Yeah, you're also wearing Santa's pajamas.
Where'd you get them? I don't know.
Yeah. So, and then we get into the middle of the movie, which is kind of the part of the movie that Alex and I don't really like.
Yeah, it drags a bit, and it's basically, so in him becoming Santa Claus, he activates the Santa clause, as in a legal document,
contract,
which was on the business card, written in the tiniest of print possible.
Yeah, as how lawyers and contracts were described in the 90s.
He goes through some body horror, maybe not Cronenbergian level.
Body hold. He gets fat. Like,
he gets fat.
Why do you call it body horror?
He's like, I gained 45 pounds in 2 days. It's like, that's terrifying.
Oh, it's a week.
Okay,
yeah,
fine.
45 pounds in a week.
Still, that's still terrifying.
It's funny though, because like he goes to work one day and like he just gained all this all this fat. Of course, they're looking at him like, oh, because he says it's a bee sting and that's why he looks so fat, like suddenly.
By the whole hive?
Yeah. They're like, bee sting, right? But I'm also just like, it's not like he got fat over the weekend. Because like this is supposed to show that it's happening over the course of the year.
Yeah.
But the time skips aren't really...
They're not well defined.
Yeah, they're not really well defined.
And
so we don't really know if he just comes to work one day and is fat, or if he's been looking like he's gaining the weight. He just wakes up one day and it's just like, what the hell happened to my stomach and my body and my cheeks are really chubby.
They do kind of screw up the time frame portion of it too when he does finally go to a doctor and it's just like, I gained 45 pounds in, you said a week?
Yeah, in a week.
And it's like, the doctor is kind of ridiculously nonchalant about it.
Yeah, but it's also just like, we should get you checked out. This might be a serious disease you're dealing with.
Where did you get your medical degree?
It's like, you might have a gland problem. But also, like, meanwhile, he's doubling down at school and... pure 90s movie, the teacher's just like, I think there's something wrong with your child that he believes in Santa. In real life, parents will be like, okay.
They'd begrudgingly tolerate it.
Yeah. The teacher would be like, okay, that's cool, you believe in Santa. But like, I don't know a lot of teachers who would call home and be like, your kid believes in Santa and it's really creeping the other kids out, so they need to stop. Like, all the other kids would be like, you believe in Santa. That's cute. And like, pat him on the head.
Yeah.
Maybe make fun of him and stuff, but...
And the fight ensues where the other kid believes in Santa.
Yeah.
Or Santa's his dad, because he saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus. I don't know.
Yeah. So, you know, then the teacher brings up concerns to the parents. So, of course, the mom is getting really concerned, like, oh, why are you making him believe in Santa Claus? And Scott's character is just like, I never said I believed in Santa Claus. I just want to spend time with my kid.
Yeah.
So then, of course, like, he gets bigger, and he starts growing a beard, and his hair starts getting white.
They send him a list.
Yeah, he gets sent the list of all of the
children in the world.
Of all of the children in the world. And this is when he kind of just starts being like, well.
I
think it's after he goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, I can't.
You're healthy as can be.
Like, you're healthy as you can be, you're just big. And he's like, but I'm graying.
I shaved this morning. Yeah. This is what happened. And he grew back into a full beard.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Studying. Your doctor would be making a
case about you by now.
It's like, I have a paper I need to write.
Yeah.
I need you to be the subject.
Yeah.
But it does get fun with...
He starts accepting it. I guess, like, because this happens over the course of the year. So he just starts accepting it. He's just like, all right, I'm this big as Santa, and this beard is... Every time I shave it in the morning, it literally comes back 10 seconds later. Nothing I can do. So he starts accepting it. And then he's outside at Charlie's soccer game. And then this little girl who's so freaking cute. She has to be like 6 years old. The girl walks up slowly, like inches over, and she's just like, so this is my list. It's so funny. She's like, I want a Barbie doll. I don't remember what she asked for, but it was just so cute because she was like, this is what I want for Christmas. And I'm just like, let's keep this between us. So, and then, the soccer games, and it's a normal, like, little league soccer game. Kids are hitting the ball around, and they have no sense of purpose whatsoever. We just kick the ball. That's what coach said to do. So by the time the mom comes to pick up Charlie from the game, or watch the game, I guess, there's a line of kids who were like, oh, okay, hey, this guy looks like Santa. It's getting to be that time of the year. Like, let me get my list in early kind of thing. So they've all lined up and are giving him this list. Like, and, Scott's been pretty good about it. He never tells the kids, like, no, I'm not Santa, goes away. He puts up with it and allows them to give him the list. So, of course, they make this line. The mom goes off for no reason. She's just like, I can't believe you would go this far to make Charlie like you. And I was just like, I didn't know that was a contention point. I didn't know that there was a point where Charlie didn't like his dad.
Yeah.
Like, he never had to do anything to make Charlie like him. And I was just really mad about that because they always, I don't know, in these, like,
they needed some
bad
conflict.
Dad movies. Yeah, but in these bad dad movies, they always make it look like, the dads are workaholics, but it's always, the wives they look like stay-at-home moms. Like, I don't think Laura worked, and it's the same thing in Jingle All The Way, but, like, I don't think she worked, and he works hard, so it seems like, so that, I guess that was the peak of it in the 90s, just like, oh, workaholic dad, he's never there for his kids. Your husband is the main breadwinner, and he's trying to keep all this shit going.
Yeah, they're divorced though, so it's like we need them as the point of contention on some sort of conflict. Because really, Tim Allen's character, Scott Calvin, seems, by the end of it, he's pretty cool with it. He does end up getting, Bernard comes around, takes him to the North Pole, they start doing prep and whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, also, we forgot about the moment when they get custody rights taken away.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, the Santa thing has gotten too far, and the judge rules that...
It feels very breakneck. Like, it's way too fast.
It's way too fast, and it's also, like, it's an extreme measure.
Even if you'd done something as trite as just, like, showing a calendar with months being ripped off, I'd feel more comfortable understanding the timeline of this, because otherwise it just feels like it's all happening within a span of a few months.
Yeah. It seems very sudden and very extreme, to the level it's just like, you can't help but feel bad for Scott, because it's like, this isn't really something that he has control over at this moment. He's just kind of going with it. Yeah. But it's not like, oh, I have to eat people now to survive. Like, he's turning into Santa.
I want to see that movie. I have a hunger.
Yeah. There is a movie like that, actually. A vegetarian. Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
But, he's turning into Santa. It's not like, he's just like, oh, like, he's not turning into a criminal. So it's really odd that they go to such extreme lengths, and his custody rights are taken away. And all you can do is feel bad for him, because he's been trying as hard as possible to be a good dad. And he tried to, at points in the movie, he tries to tell Charlie, like, can you pull back on the Santa thing?
Yeah.
Just, like, so it doesn't look like we're both crazy.
It's probably the most human dialogue he had during the film. Because the rest of it all was in service to, like, him being Santa Claus. But that was, like, a really, like, honest conversation that you would have with your kid. Where it's just like, hey, they may not understand it, they may not appreciate it, so just dial it back. If not for your sake, but for both of ours.
Yeah.
So it's like, because they treated him like an adult, which is what you should usually do with kids.
Yeah, and he's just like, I can't really explain everything to you, because I don't really know what's going on with me right now. But I can just say, just try to dial it back. Well, he also says, not for your sake, for Mom and Neil's sake.
Oh, that was a good one, yes.
And I think that was a really good conversation that they had. And of course, Charlie's like, he doesn't really understand what's going on, so he doesn't actually dial it back. But I do feel bad because, Tim Allen's character, Scott, he's trying to minimize this as much as possible from it affecting his daily life. And, still the people around him are, like, taking it to the extreme. And then, when he gets custody taken away, he walks past the house and he sees them in the window. And by this time it's winter again, because he looks full Santa by this point. And all you can do is just feel bad for him, because you're just like, he was trying to be a good dad. Like, he wasn't great at it. I mean, nobody's the perfect parent, especially someone who works all the time. But they try. But yeah, when he finally comes over, Charlie is still 100% Dad Santa, totally believing this all the time. And then, Bernard
Ne-
shows up.
yeah. Neil and Laura go talk, and then Bernard shows up. It's like, all right, it's been 11 months. Let's go.
Yeah.
And so
Bernard has no fucks given. Like, yeah, we can take the kid. Let's go.
Yep.
You're just like, don't really care what's going on between the dynamics of your family.
Human
you got work to do.
Fuck that.
We've been doing this for 100 years. You think I care about a stupid little divorce spat? Nah.
Kidnapping? There's plenty of children.
Yeah. So then comes the montage.
Oh god.
Yeah. The montage of them
Santa tech.
All their Santa tech. And Scott Calvin's only grievance is just like, what if I fall off the roof? That's how I became Santa in the first place. What if I fall off the roof? I'm like, oh, it's fireproof. And he's like, what if I fall off the roof though? It's just like, you got any super tech for that? And they just completely keep glossing over it. And then it ends up being the reindeer who he had some conflict earlier. I think is it
Comet?
Is it Comet? Yeah, who had some friction with earlier. It's like, yeah, I got you a rope in case you fall off the roof. And it's just like, someone cares. So, and then they start their trip, and then this is where Alex had his problem with the juxtaposition.
Yeah, the big problem of so while this wondrous montage is going on, we then cut back to them with the police.
Yeah.
With them trying to, it's like they're treating it's a missing persons case because from an outsider's perspective, my child is now missing with my husband who is suffering from some sort of delusions because they have no indication that Santa is real. Their perspective is just like horror because it's like my ex-husband is becoming Santa-like, and maybe as some weird crutch to try and make sure he stays endeared to our son. And now our son is missing from this same man. And so we have this fucking missing persons case with that, and it's just like, wow, that's a steep contrast with the spirit on there. So the writing is... So the middle... So I still like the ending, I still like the beginning, but the middle... it's funny because I don't really... That's like the last 20 minutes, but I still wouldn't consider that the true ending yet. But it's still part... Because it's all part of that long middle that is like dealing with just the consequences of him becoming Santa. And it's just like, from the outsider's perspective, it just looks like you're being crazy.
Yeah.
So... But we do get, our nice resolution.
I wish they'd left him a note or something.
Yeah,
a note would have been great.
But even then,
I think this is happening on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, but what he's going to say, it's like, by the way, I am actually Santa. And that's it? I mean...
No, it's just like, hey, Charlie and I are hanging out for Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all you needed.
Even still.
Or just like, sorry, Charlie really wanted to come with me for Christmas Eve. That's all you need to say as opposed to, we think you kidnapped our kid.
Yeah.
But
no, it wouldn't hold up. It's like, tell that to the judges because of the court.
Yeah, and it's also very much like, I'm sure the wife and the new husband had a problem. Like, how do you convince Charlie that, okay, you can't see your dad anymore? Because Charlie's really into his dad.
Yeah.
The soul Santa thing has made their bond stronger, but it wasn't like before that he hated his dad.
Yeah, he was just kind of like...
He was just kind of like, about it.
Like a teenager almost, actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were trying to make it so that the Santa thing seemed like it brought them together.
Yeah, that's fair.
But,
yeah, it was like a teenage level of conflict for a younger relationship.
Yeah, and, it does seem, really crazy. I definitely had issues with that. And, it's, the lengths that they go to, it's not unreasonable calling the police and then, but they also started showing how the guys were like, oh, we're just going to arrest the Santa, because they're explaining it to the police force, and they're just like, this guy looks like Santa, and then the police force is just like, so we just arrest anybody who looks like Santa? That's gonna make this real easy.
It sounds like something a municipality would do to round up homeless men.
Yeah,
honestly, as an excuse. We believe somebody looks like Santa may have kidnapped a child. By the way, all the homeless men are now missing.
Yeah.
Enjoy your Christmas.
Yeah, so it's a weird juxtaposition. It makes it seem funny because, he goes to all the houses and he goes back to his family's house to drop off presents. And then the police catch him, back at the scene of the crime or whatever, and they arrest him. And they send the elves out to come rescue him from this jailhouse that looks like it's in a town of 10 people.
Yeah.
There's 2 cells.
It's your suburb is not that far out that it doesn't have.
And it's also when they're arresting the Santa, it's because like all the kids are gathered around and stuff,
Yeah.
and like how do you explain that to your kids? Like Santa's being arrested, and like still keep the lie going of Santa. It's just like it was just like this is kind of a hard thing to juggle.
Santa sold me some bad Coke, kids.
Yeah, so why do you have to take it there? No, but it's a really it's kind of comical, the arrest, because it's like they're pulling out Santa and he's like full in Santa like pun mode too.
Yeah.
He's in full Santa pun mode too, and he's just like, oh, I don't know what's wrong. It's just me, Santa, just leaving off presents. What's the problem? So when he gets arrested and everything, I feel kind of bad for the parents who have to explain to their kids like that they just saw Santa getting arrested, because they can't, like, he's not the real Santa, and they're gonna look at him like, really? He's not the real Santa? Red suit, rosy cheeks.
The
like,
reindeer on the fucking roof.
The reindeer on the roof. Oh yeah, not Santa, Mom. Sure. So
like, how did that fly into the radar when he got picked up by the cops the first time?
Yeah.
It's like, seriously. But
yeah.
So that's our resolution, because they come back to the house to drop off Charlie.
After breaking him out.
After breaking him out.
And the dad's like, maybe we should just kind of leave you here with your parents while we continue.
Well, their whole message, I think, because it's a Christmas movie, there's got to be a message. In this case, we can't be selfish during Christmas, because it's like, I love you, I'll make you my priority when I can, but if I'm not Santa, these other kids can't get presents either. Yeah. So it's kind of weird. So, like, their relationship does get some resolution, whereas it's like...
It's a really cute moment, too. Because especially because, like, it's like, that moment where it's just like the kid says something and then the adult brushes it off, and then the adult's like, okay, hey, my kid actually said something good, let me repeat it. And then the kid's like, oh, you're right. It's just like, this is literally what you said earlier. Yeah. So, we got it. Because, Charlie's very much like, what about the rest of the kids in the world? You can't, like, brush off being Santa because, there's other kids who need Santa out there. So then he's just like, I'm Santa. I can't be selfish. There's other kids in the world. And Charlie's like, yeah, you're right.
It's like, yeah, you're right. It's a lesson he takes from Charlie.
Yeah, and it's really super, super adorable.
Yeah. Final thoughts?
I forgot how much I really like this movie. Like, my grievances with Tim Allen aside.
Yeah, same. The middle's
it's still a good movie.
The middle's my problem.
Yeah. But, it has to show some kind of transition between him not believing in Santa Claus to being Santa Claus.
It's not so bad a slog to get through that I still wouldn't recommend watching this film. Like, it's on during Christmas, still give it a watch. It's fun in the beginning, it's fun in the end. The middle
it's still a great family movie.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's a really kind of wholesome Christmas movie, and the premise is pretty simple. And I really like it. Like, problems with the extremes that the adults go to aside. Yeah. Final thoughts?
Yeah, no, same deal. It's just like middle drags a little bit, but it's still worth the watch.
Yeah.
So
go watch it for this Christmas season.
So we're gonna take a break and then we'll come back with Home Alone.
Yes. And welcome back. So we're going to talk about Home Alone in 1990. Macaulay Culkin's, his number one movie, and no one else remembers anything else that he's in. Even Korean people know this movie, but they call it the Kevin movie.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's called the Kevin movie in Korea.
I love bad, weird translations or interpretations of names.
Yeah, and I think a lot of Japanese people know the movie too. But I just remember every time around Christmas, they would just go, oh, for that. Like, the Kevin movie.
Oh, God.
And I would always be like, what? The Kevin movie? He's like, yeah, Like, oh, okay. Cool.
Never has box art managed to become so mimetic, I think, in quite a long time. I haven't seen like a single movie since then that had like its box art become kind of like its own. In this case, this is pre-real internet.
Oh yeah, the main way to recognize the movie.
Oh, as it got hands on the side of the face thrown onto various homages of sorts, or references rather.
Yeah, and everybody knows what you're talking about when you do that too. Fun, very funny. But yeah, so we have the McAllister family.
They're planning to go to Paris.
For some weird...
uncles.
The dad used to work in Paris, and some of the family is there.
Yes.
Yeah, so the dad used to work in Paris, and some of the family is there.
Yeah.
So they're going back to visit for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
15
also
people.
bringing half their family, well, half the extended family with them. So yeah, 15 people in the house.
We see some butting of heads because 15 people. There's going to be some tension.
Yeah.
Kevin being our protagonist, tiny Macaulay Culkin. Of course,
He's the baby.
He's a baby, yeah. He's definitely one of the younger ones there, besides the child who doesn't speak but wets the bed and just looks ominous because he has giant
Who
Buddy
I
Holly
think is
calluses.
played by his little brother.
Let's look it up.
I think I don't know. It might be his little brother.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, he's not in the list, because
but
he
was
doesn't have any speaking parts.
Yeah,
but
he might be further down, but fuck it.
Yeah, because remember the other Culkin kid is also an actor.
Did not know that.
Yeah, or he was an actor for a while. Yeah, so you have the McAllisters, and Kevin is the youngest and gets he's got a smart mouth on him. But I don't know, because his older brother Buzz is way worse than him, though. Like, Buzz is like the typical like 80s, 90s like older brother bully. And it's weird because like there's a moment where Kevin gets in trouble because he like knocks over all the soda or stuff, and because
he pushes back. Like
he pushes Buzz back because so they order pizza, and like Kevin just wants cheese pizza, which I'm gonna be honest, when you're a little kid, that's the easy. If you have that many people in the house, just go with a bunch of cheese pizzas because kids are way too fucking picky. And why they have all these extra vegetable pizzas is so stupid.
He gets into a little spat with his brother, pushes him, knocks the passports over. This is actually part of our series of events and good foreshadowing. There's actually a lot of good setup throughout this film.
Yeah, there's a lot of little moments that make the whole Kevin getting left at home thing happen. That it's done very well. Yeah. But yeah, for this moment in particular,
spilled soda, passports.
He spills the soda. Well, what happens before is Buzz is like, "Oh, I ate all the cheese pizza. If you want it, like someone can throw it up." So Kevin snaps and pushes him. And then Kevin gets in trouble for it. As if no one saw Buzz pretending to throw up on Kevin.
Why are you giving the older child, who should know better, more leeway than the younger one? Who really
when it's usually the opposite. It's usually the old... Because Buzz is the middle sibling.
Yeah.
So it's usually the older sibling who gets reamed. Because Kevin doesn't know any better.
No.
But I guess because Kevin's been kind of annoying the whole night. Because he doesn't know how to pack his own suitcase.
Which is fair.
You're 9 years old. What do you know how to pack? He's just like, I put some toys in there. I'm good. Yeah. So he doesn't know how to pack his own suitcase. And the family's kind of scrambling around, still packing and doing all this stuff. Which seems really stupid because they're leaving literally the next morning. Mm-hmm. And there's 15 people in the house. So they're all scrambling. Everybody's in a weird mood because of that. And they end up taking it out on Kevin. Mm-hmm. And like I said, he's kind of a little shit. But he's still a 9-year-old. And Buzz is like 15, 16?
He's a gawky, he's an annoying teenager. So
yeah, he's an older annoying teenager. And there's also the oldest sister who doesn't have that many lines. We don't see her that much. But she's still like, Kevin, you're stupid. But at the same time, she's not mean to him. Yeah. She's just like, I got other things to do right now.
The ambivalent sibling.
Yeah. So as they're doing the whole like running around the house, fixing everything, the police officer is in there, but it turns out the police officer is one of the criminals who's just he's pretending to be a police officer to find out who's leaving and who's not.
So he's basically he's casing the joint. And of course, the guy's in a cop uniform, so it's like must be legit. So they
this is white suburbia. So
they start detailing. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to Paris. It's like, but we've got automatic light timers, good locks, and all that shit.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, we're just making sure everyone is, safe in the neighborhood. And they're like, yeah, we got it. We got all this stuff on. We got automatic timers and locks. We'll be fine. Not knowing that they're actually telling the person who's about to rob their house.
Yeah.
And another thing that kind of clinches it is they order about $122.50.
Yeah.
Worth of pizzas. And she just pulls out cash and pays for it. So, of course, the criminal's like, oh, they just got this kind of cash on hand. So I'm, I'm pretty sure they got a bunch of stuff in here. And a bunch of kids who all have their own rooms, who have a bunch of stuff, and like he can see them kind of packing everything around. So they look like a pretty rich house. So, they're just making it easier for the main criminal to say Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Pesci to say like, okay, we gotta rob this house because they're rich, like they're a super rich house.
The setups are there. They're not. They're definitely filmed in a way to draw attention to themselves because they are still like, look at this. This is important.
Yeah, but it's only when you watch the movie for kind of a second time.
Yeah,
you realize.
But the filming is still done so that it still does the frame. Like they showed the tickets on the table, but they could have avoided that entirely and just showed them throwing away the paper towels, but not actually into the garbage, which they did show though.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, still good, lots of good little setups. And another comedy of errors would be the during the head count scene. Well, they all wake up late, so they're in a rush.
Because
there's a power outage, which we do get a few shots of. Like it's less than a minute of framing, but it's still good framing. And it's like power outage. It's like run light, and then the high speed footage of everyone just like running around the house, which is fair. And then during the head count, when they're trying to leave in this panic, some random neighborhood kid comes in, starts pestering the dude who runs the little airport shuttle vans or whatever.
And like looks through their stuff.
Yeah. And then of course Big Sister's like head counting and just counts the back of this kid's head thinking it's her brother.
Yeah.
And so he fucks off. And
yeah, because right after that, they all split.
Yep.
Into vans. So it just looks like he's in another van.
Yep.
So she's like, yeah, I counted 11 kids, 5 adults, blah, blah, blah. She's like, yeah, I did all the counting, Mom. And she seems like the capable older sister. So the mom's just like, okay, cool, I trust her.
Yeah, in fairness, she did count correctly.
Yeah.
But just not the right person.
She's not the right kid.
She's just the back of their head.
And considering how vocal Kevin is, you would think that they would notice that it's like, not him.
It's suddenly silent. What's going on?
Yeah. But they get on the plane and get through, and, they're rushing through because back in the day when it didn't take an hour to get through security, they just run through.
Simpler.
They have 45 minutes. Like, okay, they have like 15 or 20 minutes to get to the airport.
Yeah.
And also because they go in the airport shuttles, their cars are still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they leave their cars. And so the mom gets on the plane and like as they're going, she's just like, man, I forgot something. Like, I feel like I forgot something. What did I forget? And then the dad's trying to be like, well, no, it's just because we were rushing. That's why you feel like it. And he's like, I forgot to close the garage door. That's what it is. And she's like, no, that's not what it is. And then, bam, she's like, shit, my kid, Kevin! So that's, the famous, like, Kevin, I forgot him kind of moment. So they're freaking out on the plane. And they can't do anything because they're flying to Paris. It's not like they're flying to, like, Florida. So they're just sitting on the plane. The mom's, like, hyperventilating. Like, oh, my God, I'm such a horrible mother. How can I forget my child? And the kids are all sitting back in coach. Like, la, la, la.
Yeah,
like, well,
no
it's
idea.
so quiet. It's nice.
The adults are freaking out, of course. Well, she's freaking out, and so is the uncle's wife. Or whatever.
Yeah. And the uncle's like, man.
If it makes you feel better, I forgot my glasses. And then I love how both of them just look.
And the dad too is just like, really? It's just like, just don't say anything.
That is not an apt comparison, man.
Yeah. So, the night before, Kevin's like, he's like, I hate the family. Like, I wish I was by myself. I never want to have a family. The mom's like, do you really believe that? He's like, yeah, right now I do.
Yeah.
But once again, to be fair, you sent him up to the attic when his brother pretended to throw up on him, and he retaliated for that. So it's just like, Buzz is not getting punished at all. I'm getting punished. Like, everybody treats me like I'm a baby, and is basically walking over me. So I wish none of you existed. And I'm coming from a big family, and I kind of felt that way when I was younger. I was like, I wish I was a only child. Okay. But yeah, so,
he gets his wish, essentially, because they're gone, as we know, the main plot of the story, as it were. And most of the middle of the film is mostly him kind of just, like, enjoying himself, like, in his newfound freedom.
In the way that only a 9-year-old can.
It's like jumping on the bed.
And, like, running around the house being like, I'm free! Like, he makes a dinner of ice cream and ice cream and like
I'm
M&Ms.
I'm eating garbage and no one can tell me anything.
And he watches a rated R movie and then like freaks out after like the shooting scene and stuff.
Oh, it's so good.
It's really funny. He's so adorable. But yeah, he's afraid of the basement because there's a boiler down there.
I do appreciate they give that some internal conflict or some little conflict like that for him as well. Besides the looming robbery attempt of because we do get cuts back.
Like, actually, I didn't like when I was a kid, but I always felt like the robbery part was longer, but it's really not that long in the movie.
Same. I was imagining the third act would be like maybe a third of the runtime, but it really wasn't. It was maybe like 15 minutes, if that. Honestly, it just squeaks by really fast.
Yeah, and Kevin also has this like neighbor, who
Old Man Marley,
whose buzz tells him is a serial killer, but he's really just an old man who lives by himself. Like, but he just looks kind of scary because he's an old man with a beard.
It's a lot of good character development in the middle, like Kevin enjoying his newfound freedom, Kevin reconciling personal responsibility as like, well, I'm the man of the house now. And not in a kind of like knee-jerky like, yeah, this is my shit. No, it's just like he's actually like...
I gotta protect the house now because there's no one else here.
Yeah, so he's treating it like his responsibility. Like he goes to the store to get food, things like that.
Yeah, and he does start like missing his family, especially his mom.
Oh, yeah, it is pretty adorable. And then during the backdrop of this, of course, we have,
burglars, the wet bandits.
God damn. So dumb.
They're so stupid.
But so Marv and Harry Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern, like, they're robbing the other houses because they know the timing of them, because they've been casing the joints already, but they really want Kevin's house because that's the one that they think is probably the most valuable.
Also, I think it's the biggest house on the block.
Yeah, I fucking hope so. But they
live in a small mansion
with a damn treehouse.
Yeah.
And the zip line that he's somehow able to construct out of, like, I don't know. Anyway.
But yeah, so the first night they come, Kevin hears them and turns on the light.
You said they weren't
in
home.
the back door. And they're like, oh shit, you said they weren't home. So they freak out and leave. And then the next night, Kevin makes this elaborate contraption.
So good.
With mannequins. I don't know where the mannequins came from, but also with his brother's
Michael Jordan
poster moving around, so it looks like they're having a party there that night. So of course, then they leave again. And then you have the juxtaposition of the mom is freaking out and trying to get a ticket back. And there's a really heartfelt moment of her, she's like begging for a ticket. She's like, I don't care, I just need to get back to the States, because at least once I get back to the States, I know I can get back to
She's like, I'll sell you, I'll give you this translator, $500 cash.
My wedding ring, earrings.
It is hard. Her face during the entire ordeal really sells it, because she just looks grief-ridden.
Yeah, and there's a moment where, she's trying to sell this old lady, all her stuff basically for the ticket. And the husband's like, we gotta go, we gotta get on this plane. And she's like, I'll give you my earrings and my ring. He's like, she's got earrings, she doesn't need it. And then she has this moment where she's like, please, from one mother to another, I need to get back to my son. And then that's and it's such like a heart-wrenching moment, because you see all the desperation in her face, and you're just like, oh my god, just please give her the ticket, please.
Yeah, young me definitely couldn't appreciate
how distraught she was.
Yeah, it's very good acting.
I really glossed over that as a kid, but looking back on it, my mom also probably would have been just freaking out and beside herself, trying to get a ticket back. And they so as he's doing that, he is very much like, Mom, I miss you, and kind of you can kind of it feels like it's the mom kind of feels it, my baby's in trouble, I need to get back home, kind of thing. So that's when he goes grocery shopping, and then he goes to do laundry. He gets back downstairs in the basement, and then afraid of the boiler, but he's just like, nah, I gotta do this laundry though. It's I'm not afraid of you.
Boiler starts laughing, and he's just like, shut up. And
and that's kind of that's a moment that's getting over the hump of childishness kind of thing.
Good progression.
And it's also him, he's understanding kind of the weight and the gravity of his situation. There are people trying to break in the house. I have, my parents are gone. My family, who he still thinks he wished them away, not because, all of the circumstances. He thinks, his family's not coming back because he wished them away. So, they're all freaking out. And
The third night, he does scare them away again.
Mm.
Because remember, so first night lights, second night fake party, third time he plays the movie to scare
Oh, the
them.
first time, yeah. So he's this one movie that
Angels with Filthy Souls,
yeah, or
I think
something
it
like
is.
that, and it's the movie that's made specifically for this movie. He plays it for the pizza guy. He plays it when the pizza guy comes to the door, so that the pizza guy doesn't open the door. But he also plays it when the criminals come, and it makes it sound like someone is already robbing the house and like shot up their partner. And so
Harry's just like
Marv
oh,
runs away, and it's just like you don't want to go to this house. But then Harry's like, wait, sounds kind of suspicious. Let's at least find out who else cased this joint, because this is our territory.
Because because if they start asking questions about somebody getting murdered here, wouldn't it be helpful to the cops to have a face to it?
Yeah,
Because they don't want to get blamed for a murder.
Yeah,
because they've broken into the houses. And left fingerprints everywhere because they're terrible thieves.
Yeah, they're horrible thieves. Like, the reason they want to be called the wet bandits is because they leave the water running in people's houses, which I'm like, all right, stealing their stuff is one thing because it can be like replaced and stuff, but like, you're causing water damage to people's houses in the winter. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, fuck you.
Yeah. I do appreciate that Joe Pesci's character is just like fucking monster, man.
Yeah,
it's just like we're thieves, yeah, but it's just like
there's something wrong with you. Like, that this is your thing. So yeah, then he meets the old man again.
But this time he goes to church because he's looking for some guidance. He's feeling at his lowest. He goes to church, and the old man is there, and they have a really, really, really beautiful conversation about like how Kevin feels about his family, and the old man is like, those stories they tell about me aren't true, and tells him like his strained relationship with his own son.
Yeah, that's the reason why he lives alone. It's because he's estranged from his son, and this is the only time he can see his granddaughter when she does her choir at the church. Because that's got to be the saddest thing, though, because it's not even like your kids aren't even far away. They're in the same neighborhood. Yeah. He just refuses to see you. And I never understood that as a kid, but as an adult, I'm like, wait, if she's singing at the choir at the same church in the neighborhood, that means his kids aren't really that far away. No. They're just not coming to see him. So, and like, he's afraid to call the son because he doesn't want he doesn't want to get in a fight again. Yeah. But Kevin's just like, you gotta suck it up. I was afraid of the boiler, but I got over it. Like, it's really adorable. And unfortunately, they ruined it because in the second movie, they did the exact same thing with the pigeon lady. But yeah, so then he's like, all right, fine, I'm gonna protect this house. And then starts the famous, like, engineering montage of making all the traps and stuff.
Are murderous traps?
Yeah, basically murderous trap. They should have had a number of concussions and broken bones and like
tetanus,
missing skin, tetanus. Yeah, because he stepped on that huge nail. Oh god, that one was the hardest one to watch for me.
I feel like it would
like the iron on the face one was hard, but like him stepping on that nail was like.
So again, with more really good setup throughout the thing, it's like, would you put your damn micro machines away? I nearly slipped on them. Yeah. And of course, that's one of the traps he lays out for them. And that was like the first act.
There's a lot of good build-up in this movie.
Like, it's definitely something I didn't see when I was younger, but you don't look for it when you're young.
Yeah, but it also be like I said, like I felt like the movie was longer, but it's actually pretty short. Mm-hmm. And the most famous scenes of the movie, which is the whole robbery thing, it's not that long of a part of the movie, no. And it's like one of the most remembered scenes was him like, becoming a mini engineer and building all these traps. Yeah, of course, and the spider who gets to just wander. The spider who's finally free and can just wander around the house for the next couple of days.
The spider is our Chekhov's gun because like it does get loose because Kevin's climbing in his brother's room trying to find stuff.
He's trying to find his secret stash.
Finds it, breaks all the shelves, spider's loose. It's like, oh shit.
And the spider's just free for 3 days.
He's looming in the background of a lot of shots, which is nice.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's like the moment they're about to catch him, he sees a spider and puts it on Marv.
And drops it on Marv's face, and Marv's pretty much makes the same sound that anybody else would make if there was a giant spider on their face. Defanged or not. It's like, I gotta kill this. Like, okay, Harry, don't move.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Crowbar.
You have a crowbar aimed at my crotch. Or,
broken.
And it's just like, so.
Shattered ribcage.
Yeah. And then we get the, John Candy's in this movie.
Mm-hmm. We cut back to the mom.
The mom getting on a They like rent a van of the polka guys. The polka guys rent a van because their flight is also canceled. So the polka guys rent a van and then get her to take them home, or get them to take her home.
Yeah.
And she's in the van. She's just like, "Am I a bad mother? Like, this is so horrible. How could I forget my child? Am I a bad mother?" And he's like, "Nah, we're all like really shitty dads."
It's a touching moment. Don't get me wrong. I love John Candy in general. But it's there as a vehicle to get the mom back there through the goodwill of other people on there. Because basically that's what she's relying on, and it's kind of a backdrop for Christmas in general. It's like, although Kevin's story is kind of parallel to that, because his is a lot of self-help, and it's him exerting himself and putting himself
and
out. Growing up.
And then completely forgetting that he grew up in the second movie.
Yeah, and then of course, because we got to get some more pennies out of it.
Yeah.
And then the mother's story is kind of more of like,
I should pay attention to what's going on with the kids a little bit more.
And also relying on the kindness of strangers.
Mm-hmm.
Even, don't get me wrong, the first one doesn't really count because, like, she's giving them $500, earrings, a watch.
Well, in the end, I don't think she gives all that stuff. I think the mom she's just a mom trying to get her. Like, the wife is just like, just give her a ticket. She needs to go see her son. Yeah. Like, we'll catch the next flight. It's fine. But it is, like you said. And when, everything happens, like, the criminals catch him at a different house.
Mm-hmm. Well, he leads them.
He leads them to another house.
Yeah, because he knew when they were coming back.
So he did call the cops. Like, as he saw them coming in, that's when he called the cops, and that's when the whole shenanigans started.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of, so when they finally caught him running around, they thought they outsmarted him. Old Man Molly comes and just smacks them both with a shovel, and that's what knocks them out.
Yeah, never mind the iron.
Never mind them falling down the stairs. Never
the
mind
paint bucket.
Like the paint, but like the full paint bucket. Never mind them getting hit with a crowbar. Like all that stuff. And what makes them knocked out is a man hitting them with a shovel. Yeah. And then, of course, the police are like, "Oh, you guys are the wet bandits, right? You guys are the ones who've been leaving the water on in every house." It's made it really easy to know who you hit.
Shut up, Mom.
Yeah. So, it's really cute. And then the next morning, because, the night before, he's just like, "I'm sorry, I just want my family back." So he wakes up in the morning, and it's kind of the false start. He gets up and no one's there. He's Christmas all alone, and he's just like, "Oh, damn, like, I can't reverse this wish." Then his mom comes in, and it's like, like the music and stuff. And then the family walks in, too.
Remember that flight you didn't want to take because it was too late? Yeah, well, we took it.
Yeah, and we got here literally the same exact time that she did.
Like, less than, 2 minutes behind.
Yeah. Which was... Oh, the irony. But yeah, final thoughts?
It's a good Christmas movie. This aged extremely well, much better than I had any expectations of. This is actually supremely good. Not even just as a Christmas movie, but as a really well put together movie. You have a lot of good setup. You have a lot of good payout. The story parallels between Kevin's growing up and his mother's need to be more observant, as well as also reliant on others too, and helping others, and being helped by others too, not being afraid to be helped by others. It's a good parallel between the two. Give it, if you haven't. I don't know who you are if you haven't watched this, especially if you live in the States, because
you're living under a rock.
Yeah, because this shit plays for a week straight during the Christmas holiday.
Yeah. Kind
of like how Comedy Central plays nothing but comedy specials from throughout the year.
ABC Family used to play it all the time. This and A Christmas Story.
Oh, well, you can't get around A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely highly recommend. If you grew up with it and you haven't seen it since then,
watch it again.
You will have a much better perspective on it now that you've grown up. At least I hope you've grown up.
Yeah, maybe not.
How about you?
I love this movie. I watched it a lot when I was a little kid, especially in daycare, around Christmas time. And like you said, the setup's really good in the movie, especially now as an adult. I'm looking at all the little things that I never really noticed before build up to this kind of setup. And it's done really well. I do have issues with Kevin suddenly being at first not knowing how to pack his own suitcase, but then also knowing how to rig a house to look like there's a whole party in it.
Yep.
And also being an engineer and rigging all these traps.
Where'd you find all the pulleys?
Yeah, also this this is the kind of science that you get in like at least junior high school.
Yeah.
He's 9. Yeah, and also like the criminals are so freaking stupid. But yeah, I like the little lessons that he has. I like the little talk that he has with Old Man Marley. I think that's just so cute. And yeah, good movie. The only thing good about the sequel is Tim Curry. Because it's literally the same exact movie, except they're in a hotel in New York.
Yeah, that's it. I love Tim Curry. Love Tim Curry.
Who doesn't?
It's true. But it's like, we didn't need a sequel.
Yeah.
Get Alone 2.
There's a Home Alone 3. There's Home Alone 4.
Let's not speak its name. Anyway, we're going to take a brief break, and we'll come back with our final movie, Jingle All The Way.
Yeah. Okay, and welcome back. So, let's talk about Jingle All The Way. Arnold Schwarzenegger is honestly one of his best films. Tell me I'm wrong.
Conan.
Jingle All The Way still beats it.
Fuck you, no. I'll watch Conan more than I'll watch this. I love this film, don't get me wrong. I do love this film.
Better than Predator.
No.
Put That Cookie Down is better than Get to the Chopper.
Get to the chopper, still good. Get to the chopper!
Put that cookie down!
By the way, if you don't know, there's a band called Arno Corps that just does songs based around Arnold Schwarzenegger's various movie roles.
You know, because everybody needs a hobby.
It's true. I think they're Swedish. I don't know. A friend introduced me to it.
There's always stamps.
So, Jingle All The Way, 1996. To be honest, I don't think anyone expected the success Arnold would have post-Predator. And so, this weird need to put him in a ton of movies that probably weren't even a good fit to him. Because let's be honest here, he can't act that well.
But he works out really well in comedies, though.
I think it's because of the delivery system for him.
Yeah.
He does tend to do a little better.
He's so overdramatic.
That definitely helps a lot. So that definitely aids this movie for sure. So we have our typical busy dad, works his ass off constantly, and of course the conflict we talked about, where it's like they're shitting on the guy who works constantly. But in this case, it's not legit compared to like Tim Allen, where it's just like clearly they have problems with their former marriage in the Santa Claus. Here it's like, he is the sole breadwinner of the house.
Yeah.
Cut him some damn slack.
Right? And, like, I don't know if he's the owner of that company, but he seems at least the manager and stuff. And everyone else is having, like, their, Christmas party. And he's still working. He's the only person working, besides, like, his secretary.
Workaholic who also has time to hit the gym, because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, so he's jacked constantly.
Yeah. And, the mom seems to stay at home, from what I can tell. And it seems like, he's missing all the kids' stuff. Once again, I say this. As a kid whose dad was mostly the breadwinner for my childhood, yeah, misses stuff, but it's not that big a deal. Like, you know, my mom was still there. But this kid is just like, it's like, you missed me getting, he's got his...
Greenbelt, I think?
Was it green or was it purple?
Well, maybe it was purple. It doesn't matter.
He
missed one of the belts.
It's not black.
He missed
blue.
Yeah, okay.
It's blue.
He missed one of the belts, and he's like...
He missed a couple of the belts.
And I was like, I was there for yellow. Yeah, but you weren't there for this and this. And it's like, he was still...
Stop being such a spoiled brat. Who pays for all this? Who do you think pays for this television? And your room, which has Captain America painted in the corner of it, in perspective...
Your dad don't seem like the kind of guy to paint.
Yeah. Like, what? Like, the room is filled with toys and stuff. Just like, once again, white suburbia. Honestly. Like, it's just so much evidence that, like, the dad is working his butt off to, like, keep the family living like they're upper middle class. And, you know, the kid and wife kind of shitting on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you also have Ted, played by Phil Hartman, who is the single divorced dad, who's really, like, overly friendly and helps all the women in the neighborhood. All the women's like, I wish all the dads were like you. And he's just like, I'm surprised, like, the men of the neighborhood were revolted against this guy.
Phil Hartman sells creepy, undercurrent of creepy really well. Because he's not overt about it. He's a little bit subversive.
Well, he's overt to the women.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like,
he's outright hostile to to Harold or Howard. I'm sorry, which is hilarious, or Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, because it's like, dude's jacked, man. I wouldn't say a single word.
Right?
It's like, fuck you. I mean, you know where he lives, but still, it's just like.
But it's just like he's banking on that he'd never do anything to me because, like, high, like, oh, we're higher class.
I'm beloved by the neighborhood.
I'm beloved by the neighborhood. No one would ever believe it, kind of thing. I'm just like, I'm sure all the men are like silently planning a revolt against you.
Unless this is a neighborhood of nothing but single parents.
Yeah, and like, even though there's one wife that literally says it while her husband's standing next to her. Oh, I wish more husbands were like you. And her husband's just sitting there like, this bitch. It's just like, I'm sorry that I work all day so to keep the lights on. But yeah.
So, because Dad's a workaholic, I guess, like it's breadwinner.
Yeah.
Not really workaholic.
Only breadwinner.
His son feels like alienated from him, and of course, but Dad does take a genuine interest in what he knows because he knows
when he's there, he takes an interest,
and he knows a lot about his son's passions. In which case, they're
the Turbo Man.
The Turbo Man, which is our main,
which is like Ultraman mixed with Power Ranger. Like, the TV show looks very Power Ranger-esque, but the suit is very like Captain America / Ultraman.
Yeah, it's dope looking, honestly. Like, I thought that was dope.
It's a cool
suit.
Like, I like the lore that they designed around him and stuff. It's really fun. So the kid's really into it.
But it's the hot new toy this Christmas season, and his wife, of course, told him to get it 2-3 weeks or a month ago, 2 months ago or something.
And also, for all you young people out there, this movie is basically modeled after the Tickle Me Elmo craze that happened in the 90s. Like, Tickle Me Elmo became such a popular toy that people were like biting each other at the toy store for it, and it was crazy. So many people were getting like injured and just like beaten up for this toy because they underestimated the sale, so they weren't delivering as many.
Yeah, the supply did not meet the demand.
Yeah, the supply did not meet the demand, so people went crazy for this toy because of how hard it was to find. So yeah,
he needs to get this thing, and so most of the film.
It's Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And he needs to get this toy, and everybody's just laughing at him when he gets the toy. So it's like, did you really think the hottest toy of this year would be available on Christmas Eve? Which is, I mean, it's kind of fair. So it's him basically going crazy finding this toy, and then on the way he meets Myron, played by Sinbad.
Sinbad.
So he meets Sinbad's character in line, like waiting for the toy store to open, and Sinbad just latches onto him. Like, and it's so funny because Arnold Schwarzenegger is very much like, why are you talking to me? Like, don't talk to me. Like, okay, cool. Like,
I gotta go. I got a mission.
Yeah, I got a mission. And then it's just, he's like, oh, kindred soul, because he's a dad looking for a toy too. Like, what? And is scaring everyone around him. And then as soon as the doors open, like, Sinbad's character turns on him and like pushes him out of the way and goes to find this toy. And then, like, this happens every time. Like, they'll see each other and Sinbad will be like, hey, friend! And then as soon as they hear, like, there's a toy available, he turns into, like, this monster and just pushes him out of the way and, like, knocks him over.
Is it the raffle ball one where it's like, we will give everyone a random ball. If you happen to get called, then you get the toy.
Yeah.
And then the employees get knocked over and all the balls go flying.
Yeah, so they're fighting for these balls, but they don't... It's, like...
It's a chance. It's not even a guarantee. Myron pepper sprays.
Yeah, Myron pepper sprays him straight up in the face.
Point blank.
That's assault.
Yeah. I was like, I'm surprised you still have your retinas, but okay. So yeah.
Yeah, also there's like a side character of the police officer who Arnold Schwarzenegger keeps running into.
First time is when he's trying to get to his kid's karate.
He goes in the
match. Goes in the carpool lane.
No, it's not. It's just the side. It's that, you know how when you get on a highway, there's the space.
Emergency lane.
Not in Japan, because space. Who believes in space? But like in America, there's like a space on the side of the highway. It's mostly for cars that are broken down on the highway. So he starts driving down that, and of course he gets pulled over for it. Yeah. And then the second time is...
he's
backing out.
Yeah, he's backing out of a... They hear...
go to the next toy store.
It knocks over the guy's bike.
And it breaks his mirror.
You broke my little mirror. Yeah. License and registration.
Yeah.
Third. They're at a diner. They overhear the radio talking about a call-in where you can get the Turbo Man doll. They're like, Myron rips the phone out of the cord.
Rips the phone out of the phone booth. Myron gets, like I said, it's like a switch flips whenever he hears that the toy is available, and he turns into like a demon.
Yeah.
So yeah, he goes crazy and then rips the phone
out. The chef who's just like, why are you starting this? The radio station's only 3 blocks away. And they're like, oh,
and they run to and of course scare the shit out of the radio station guy who calls the police.
Yep. Myron pretends to have a bomb.
Twice.
Well, the second time.
Well, the second time is actually a bomb, but he doesn't know that.
It's like, that's a bomb? This is a sick world we live in.
Sick world, we live in. Some sick people. But I remember the first time I watched that movie, even actually the subsequent times after, we always die. Like I'm always laughing so hard on that line where he's just like, that was a bomb? It's a sick world with some sick people. It's just like, I die every time because that's one of the fun, and like that, and put that cookie down are like my 2 favorite lines. It's so fun. But yeah, so also
I appreciate that they cut back to that's the third encounter with the cop.
Yeah.
Because the same cop happens to come there, and he has to come there and defuse the situation, and finds that's like, guys, I was on the bomb squad for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's a dud. Blows up.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's low yield. I don't even know what was in it, like a firecracker.
It's just his hands that are injured. He's not like in the hospital because this movie happens in the span of a day. By the way.
Yeah. Never mind that he'd probably have like the worst concussion possible if his eyes hadn't blown out of his skull.
Honestly, but it's
it's a kids movie.
Kids movie magic. So
it's fun.
No one ever dies in kids movies.
Yeah, it's fun.
Unless it's supposed to be an impact. Unless it's The Lion King, or unless it's a Disney movie. Is Jingle All The Way a Disney movie? I don't think so.
So after this third attempt,
after
the third attempt, he goes back home, kind of with his tail between his legs, and he sees Phil Hartman's character. He sees Ted schmoozing with his wife,
pretty much as he's trying to do the whole movie.
It's really
no. He sees Ted. He puts the star on the tree.
He's like, motherfucker.
Yeah, he puts the star on the tree, and the wife is like Liz is just like, nope, that's Howard's job. Like, take it down. That's his thing. But all he sees is Ted putting it on the tree, and he just gets. But to be fair, this anger's been building up.
Oh yeah.
Because at some point he calls home to talk to his wife. His kid picks up the phone, and Ted bought a reindeer for his kid for Christmas, just to have it like out for Christmas as like an attraction, and the son named it Ted, and that also a line happens that's like pretty fucked up as an adult. He's just like, hey, my dad's been super cool since they got a divorce, which the kid doesn't know this, but it's his dad just making up for the fact that they got divorced and overcompensating for it by buying him a bunch of stuff. Very typical.
Yeah.
So he says to Howard's kid, the main kid, Jamie.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe if your parents get a divorce, your dad will start being cool again. And of course, Jamie's just like, oh shit, like this takes out really badly, and goes in the house and is kind of down about it. And that's when Howard calls and it's just like, hey, I need to speak to Liz, because he's trying to build himself up to confess, like, hey, there's an issue getting the toy. I'm gonna be home late. But Jamie picks up the phone. He's like, completely railroads over everything he says. He's like, Jamie, put your mother on the phone. Are you coming home, Dad? Because you said you were going to come. Jamie, put your mother on the phone. You promised you were going to get home. He's like, and Turbo Man says, he's like, Jamie, put your mother on the phone. Turbo Man always says that you should keep your promises. And that's when he snaps and he's like, I'm sick of hearing about Turbo Man today. Like, please don't mention Turbo Man. I'm sick of Turbo Man. I don't want to listen to anything about Turbo Man at all. Like, put your mother on the phone. And then Jamie's like, you never listen. You never keep your promises. Oh, like, well, you should listen to Turbo Man. You're the worst. And, like, hangs up on him. And it's just, like, he feels like shit. But it's like, yes, the whole, Howard put himself in this situation.
Yeah.
But James King being such a fucking little brat. Like, he doesn't, like, obviously he's a kid, so he doesn't know what's going on. But he's railroading his dad. When his dad is just like, please, just put your mother on the phone. I need to talk to her.
Yeah. During the crestfallen moment, he's like, that's when he snaps because he sees him trying to put the star on the tree. It's just like he remembers Ted mentioning that. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got the toy 2 months ago. It's nestled safely under our Christmas tree."
Yeah, and he has a wonderful idea to get Ted back by stealing the toy, which is I say wonderful, but I mean it's a really shitty idea. But he realizes it.
It's like I'm stealing from a kid. What the fuck, man? And it's like I'm a monster, and so he goes to put it back. The reindeer breaks free.
Or the starts chasing him around the house, and they end up setting the house on fire because he left a fire. First of all, Ted is an idiot. He left a fire on in a house that he's not in.
Yeah.
When you have a dead tree in the middle of your house.
And it's not that cold out.
People, please learn. Like, Christmas trees it is dead wood. It's dried dead wood. And if you keep your tree too close to your fire, you will set the house on fire. Please, stop putting Christmas trees so close to your fireplace.
Or buy the one artificial tree so you never have to buy a fucking real one again over time.
True.
They're cute, but
they shed like crazy.
Too much maintenance.
Yeah.
Gotta help you if there was insects in it.
Also, we skipped over, like, one of the best scenes in the movie, the criminal Santa ring.
Oh, yes.
Because that happened after the ball.
Yeah, so when he's really desperate and he's in the mall and he couldn't get the ball, he gets a Santa played by Jim Belushi.
Yeah.
I don't want to call him James Belushi, just call him Jim because it's always Jim. Jim Belushi is just like, we can help you out, man.
Yeah, and his crooked elf too. He's like, he desperate for I can get you a Turbo Man. Of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Howard is like, really? It's like, this seems pretty suspicious. So, and then they bring him to this. They bring him to this like factory where they seem to be manufacturing shitty toys
or getting third-party imports, because in this case,
it's all third-party imports.
Yo soy Turbo Man.
It's a Turbo Man that speaks Spanish, but it's so funny. Okay, because
it's educational.
When they come in, there's guard dogs, and they put reindeer. They put that like reindeer
the little
headband
daily bob thing.
The reindeer headband that you can wear. They put those on the dogs, and of course, like, Howard's coming in like, this place looks shady as fuck. And then Jim Belushi's like, I know what you're thinking. And then Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, I don't think you do.
No, keep the packaging. That's just as good. It's educational.
Yeah, and then also the toy falls apart when he opens the box and stuff. So he's like, of course, he calls all the Santa's con men. And then they attack him. And then it ends up this, like, big brawl.
The mountain, but as Santa form.
Yeah, this big Santa brawl. And this one guy who, I think he's a pro wrestler? The 6.5 foot tall Santa?
Maybe.
I think he might be a pro wrestler. But yeah, he's they get in a fight and stuff. And then as they're like finally overpowering Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, the police come in and bust them. The police come in and bust them. Arnold Schwarzenegger picks up a toy badge and pretends to be a detective.
It's like, I've been trying to work this bus for 3 years.
Yeah.
Undercover.
What is that accent?
I don't know.
That is not
I can't do an Austrian accent, man.
Yeah. So and he gets out.
Yeah.
Yeah, just on that alone, because he's the only one not dressed up as an elf or Santa or Mrs. Claus. And he's able to walk out because he's just wearing like his expensive cashmere coat and with a fake toy badge. But yeah. So yeah, after the whole he tries to steal the toy, kind of sets the house on fire a little bit. And then his wife comes out and sees him, and it's just like, really, Howard? Really?
I'm going to go to the parade with our son, or with my son.
Yeah, with my son.
It's like, damn.
Damn.
Yeah. So he's drinking with the reindeer.
Yeah, he's drinking with the reindeer.
He's like,
drinking with the reindeer.
You're going to have to drink this one by yourself because I need to make this right. I'm not going to disappoint my son again. So he's like, I'm going to at least make the parade.
Yeah.
So.
That Ted drives them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking Ted tries to make a pass at his wife.
And of course, yeah, Liz is the only one who's just like, okay, keep your distance, Ted. Like, I still have my awesome husband who I love and all that stuff. And, it's kind of that thing of just like, my collection will be complete in the neighborhood. Then, if I can get Liz, then all the women in the neighborhood will want me. And, he just he has this idea.
I've seen this anime.
Yeah. But it's just like he has this kind of idea of Liz that he's not seeing her.
Yeah.
Because even as she's like, get off me, don't touch me. Like every time he tries to like put his arm around her or something like that, she shoves him off. She tries to be nice to him because, he's the epitome of a nice guy. Like he hasn't done anything wrong except be creepy. Yeah. So she tries to like, push him off and stuff, but he just doesn't see it at all. So, they're in the car and he's moving advances on her and finally it's like, because he sees like, oh, she's on the outs with her husband. They're probably going to get divorced. Let me push in. And then she's just like, bitch, it was one fight. Throws eggnog on him and walks out. Meanwhile, Arnold Schwarzenegger's character gets in the back because he's running from the same police officer he sees, and then he knocks into the police officer, and he gets coffee on his newly burned hands. So he starts chasing Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, and
he ends up in the back room.
In the back room, where coincidentally they're waiting for the guy who's supposed to be playing Turbo Man, because he's the replacement for some guy who's in the hospital, in a coma.
I do appreciate the backdrop of the information he's giving him while they're suiting him up in these dark images. Like, okay, so by the way, we changed the tank capacity from this size to this size, and don't worry about the safety features. The last guy is all right. They say maybe able to walk in a few months or something.
No, he's just like he's showing, his brain is showing activity. It's a good sign.
It sounded like David Cross for a minute. This is way too early for that.
Yeah, so it's really funny because he's like in this suit and not like he's completely being railroaded about what's going on with him. Like he blinks and there's a Turbo Man suit on him,
and he doesn't even know what it's on until he's like on the day.
Yeah, and he sees the guy dressed as Booster.
It's like, I know you.
You're a Booster. So
we can't do Austrian accents.
I didn't try.
Bullshit. I heard that twang. Anyway.
So he gets up there and he gets into it, like waving at the parade, and then they're like, "Hey, you get to hand the toy to someone," and he sees his kid, and he's just like, you, and then he says Jamie, and the kid's like, he knows my name, which obviously, and then that kind of turns on the audience to be like, oh, after this point, everything's staged.
Yeah.
Which
explains why everyone's just kind of like standing back.
Like, ooh, like this kid's being chased around because Sinbad dresses up as the bad guy and basically attacks.
You thought you had the best idea. Well, I had the same idea too.
Yeah, basically, and attacks him, and it ends up with the climax of the movie, which is this chat. Wow,
it hit full power.
Mm-hmm. Which is this chase. He's chasing Jamie because Turbo Man is going to pass out this limited edition, like this special edition Turbo Man doll, which is half the size of this child.
Yeah.
And he passes it to Jamie, and then, Sinbad's character trying to chases him around. And everyone in the audience thinks it's stage. It's part of the parade. So as this is happening, the mom is like, that's my kid. And she's like, oh, he's such a great actor. She's like, he's not part of the show. And you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
So, that's when the police start coming in. And also chasing him.
What kind of theatrical performance suit has a legit jetpack?
Yeah, and I was like, shouldn't you be giving this information to NASA?
Yeah, no shit. It's just like amazing fuel efficiency, considering how much he flies, how high he flies.
Yeah, and they make this parade look so much like the Macy's Day Parade because it's so elaborate with all this licensed toy, all these licensed characters.
We couldn't get Barbie, but we have what is legally distinct from Barbie.
Is the Barbie, the car.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool scene. It's really funny because the kid's just like, I'm not letting you have my doll. Because the kid, Jamie's still a little kid, so he's getting into it. He's like, he's the bad guy. I'm not gonna let you have my doll
until he starts climbing like he nearly falls off the tree that was on top of a building.
Yeah, and he realizes like, oh shit, this just got real.
Turbo Man.
Yeah, but of course he gets saved by the dad, by Howard, and
how did you know my name?
Yeah, and then of course he gives him back to his wife. He's like, oh, I wish my dad could have been here to see it. Because, we had a fight, and I yelled at him, and he probably hates me now, and all that stuff, as a kid would think. Like, one argument, he hates me.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, your dad loves you. He would do anything for you.
Most important thing in
this
world. And then
he's just like, how do you know? It's because I'm your dad. kind of thing. And then the wife's just like, Howard. And she has this look on her face that like, tonight, keep the suit on, kind of
That's
thing.
my fetish.
It's like, I didn't know I was into it till I saw it, kind of thing. But it's really adorable. Because it's Jamie just like, my dad's Turbo Man, and he gives the toy to Sinbad. But
as he's being taken away by the cops.
Spend tonight and the next couple days in jail. So
if he's lucky,
yeah. I mean, you can mail your kid the toy, I guess.
Held in evidence.
Yeah. So it's really adorable. And then as kind of like the ending shot of the movie, she's like, oh, you went through so much work to do all this for Jamie. What did you get me? And then it's just like the zoom in of like, oh, shit. Oh, God. Put that suit on, buddy.
That's the suit's
just
for us.
Like, diamond ring much? And be like, order that shit by Owl or something. But yeah, I love this movie. God, this is a movie. I watch this every Christmas, including last Christmas. and The Christmas Before. Like, I love watching this movie.
It's over the
It
top
tickles me
all
every
the
time.
way, and it's very it's really good at it, but it still also does a lot of good characterization of like Jamie and like the family and their dynamic.
Yeah. And it's also, then you realize, because
It's more
when you're a
humorous than Home
kid, you're
Alone.
just like, oh, the dad character's learned he can't work as much. But it's like, I don't think that's what it is. As an adult, you're just like, the dad character, I mean, he loved his kid the entire part. He wouldn't be doing this. He wouldn't be going through all of this.
He knew all of Turbo Man's catchphrases. He knew Turbo Man's salute.
Yeah.
So it's like he's clearly involved in Jamie's life, even though Jamie doesn't recognize it on there because he's not getting
he's not getting everything he wants. Dad's not here for everything.
Yeah.
Even though he's getting all the toys that he wants.
He had toys on his desk like piled up. It's ridiculous.
And his dad made him a tree house, like a little playhouse and stuff like that. And I was just like,
you should have seen his face. Like,
I got a tent made from chairs and a sheet.
Sinbad.
Yeah, just like, oh yeah, because
you have to go through Sinbad's childhood trauma.
Of not getting this one.
The Johnny 07 gun. Yeah, 7 guns in one.
7 gun in one. But it's just, Sinbad's character was hilarious. Like, all of his lines were so over the top and so fucking funny. So yeah, I just love it. Yeah. I love that movie. And it was also kind of not Sinbad's peak, but he was high up there comedian wise. Once again, great movie. I recommend it. Yeah, if you're not gonna, like, oh my god, if you like, I'm still meeting people who are my age who haven't seen it, and I'm just like, what are you doing with your life?
Like, it's a good timeless movie too, because it's not really stamped into its era.
Yeah.
Same with like Home Alone, honestly. I feel like because it's just a misunderstanding regarding a trip and circumstances.
Yeah, this movie is more about the franticness of kind of trying to get this toy and stuff.
It could be, because you could replace it with anything.
Yeah.
It works well.
So,
but it was fun.
I like it.
I can't say final thoughts because we basically just outlined that already. So, nothing else?
Yeah, no, nothing else. Watch this movie.
Yeah, definitely. In order of rankings for me, I would have to say The Santa Claus, I'm sorry, at the bottom of the three. It would have to be a toss-up between Jingle All The Way and Home Alone, between these two.
Jingle All The Way is my number
one. Jingle All The Way is definitely funnier to me.
Yeah.
Home Alone is definitely more, it's more heartfelt, I would say. Home Alone has those moments punctuated.
It's like, oh,
throughout it, like,
oh, it has a lot of those moments where it's like, oh,
at least one every act.
Yeah,
like every act. But like Jingle All The Way, it's like
it's just funny,
beginning and end. In the middle, it's like all comedy.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, like, outside I like comedy, but like we're not into embarrassment comedy because it's just like, it's kind of like laugh at somebody else's pain. You just feel bad for that kind of person. It's really, really hard to watch comedies nowadays, but like these are comedies, like these three are comedies like I can continually watch. Like comedy that comes purely out of someone being the shittiest, like most incompetent human being, I don't find funny. I just find
annoying.
So like I like circumstantial stuff, like things are just getting in the way constantly. Like you're doing your best, but things are like getting in the way and making it funny. I like watching
comedy of errors.
Yeah, comedy of errors. I like that kind of stuff. Home Alone, all the comedies, like, yeah, the criminals are stupid, but they're not complete idiots. Yeah, they're trying to, like, they're just being kind of outsmarted by a kid because, like,
they don't expect
you don't expect that at all. Nobody expects a kid to do that kind of stuff. And in the Santa Claus, the comedy comes from, it's just like you're turning into Santa Claus. Like, what?
You're turning into a mythical being.
Yeah, basically. And all the shenanigans of that. And then for Jingle All The Way, the comedy happens because Sinbad is so insane. and making this worse than it needs to be. And
Howard, while he's trying. He is trying so goddamn hard. And you can relate to it, I think.
He's trying so hard, but he keeps running into this crazy guy who keeps fucking everything up for him. Like, to be fair, I mean, things are, like, he's already fucked up on his own, but, like, Sinbad is just adding more to that. This is making it just so comical and ridiculous. So, yeah, I like it. These, top 3 comedy movies for Christmas. Yeah.
Cool. So, you can join us next week for
Christmas cartoons.
Indeed.
Well, animated films.
Animated Christmas
animated films. Not so much comedy. We're going to try to find more heartfelt ones. I'm going to make Alex cry, guys. I'm trying. I can do it.
Maybe try.
I'm going to try. I can make him cry for Christmas.
Jesus Christ. Thought I had problems.
Yeah, but join us next week for Christmas cartoons.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever the hell you may be. Take care.
Goodbye. It's a great big cup. Just look what happens when you stir it up. Stir it up. The world is a rainbow. Yeah, I had to sing that a lot when I was a kid.
Totally cutting that and putting it together.
I'm sorry. I just remember I had to sing that so much when I was in elementary school.
I don't remember any of the songs from when I was a kid.
You know, oh my god, it's stuck in my mind forever.
I'm sorry.
The world is a rainbow with many types of people.
I'm trying to stop so I can not have evidence of your murder.
Yeah.